No pun intended, episode 21. Our podcast can officially drink. We are so excited. We have had 20 pretty good episodes, pretty normal episodes, but episode 21 is the one I think I am most hyped for. Uh, we are just like in the right place at the right time where we have Dane on board, we have Matt on board. They just finished up a tournament in Chicago and they were in the middle of a gigantic cheating scandal. We are going to cover that. We're going to go over how Dane busted this dude. Matt's tournament. We're not going to go in too deep for Matt's tournament, but welcome, guys. Dane, thank you so much for joining today on such short notice.
Yeah, no problem. Definitely just want to share what happened and in general, maybe we could even talk about how this stuff could be avoided in the future, as far as like, cheating goes. I think it's become, kind of an epidemic, unfortunately. And I mean, obviously the Hans Nietman, and Magnus Carlsen stuff, everybody's heard about that, right? So,
Yeah, and it seems like everyone is accusing someone on Twitter. We don't need to mention Vladimir Kramnik's name or anything like that, but he's accusing everyone. Jan Nepomniachtchi is another guy. He
uh,
just he just accused can't remember the guy's name, but the community manager for the chess.com India or something like that. So some
hmm.
Indian big YouTube channel. So what a what a time. But we today have a actual cheating story for you, a real one where the guy was caught, the guy was cheating, caught him red-handed, and we're gonna take you through that whole thing. Um, Matt has a podcast announcement before we get into that. So as you know, we have been searching high and low for a strategic partner for the No Pun Intended podcast. We have tried chess.com. Not really. We already kind of partners with chess.com. We have tried Liquid Death. Didn't get any response. We have cold emailed tons of guests. No responses. Matt has been working diligently. We have our first advertiser on the No Pun Intended podcast. All right, Matt, what do you got for us?
Liquid Death, they are dead to us, by the way. Don't sponsor those guys. All right, new sponsor. We got a quick ad read here. This episode of No Pun Intended podcast is brought to you by a special new snack designed specifically for chess players. Are you tired of noisy snack bags disturbing your focus? Are you sick of strong odors making you the center of unwanted attention at the chessboard? Do you wish there was a vegan option for a protein packed snack? Well, we've got just the thing for you. Imagine a snack that comes in a silent bag, has no odor whatsoever, and even caters to vegan sensibilities. Sounds too good to be true, right? Introducing Epic Salmon Jerky Bites, the perfect companion for those long, intense games where every single move counts. No more conflicts over allergies, dietary restrictions, or religious considerations, just pure, uninterrupted focus with a snack that's discreet, delicious, and mess free. That's right, no oiliness to get your pieces greasy or your board messy. And the best part, thanks to a secret formula, these salmon jerky bites are completely vegan. So next time you're preparing for a tournament, reach for Epic Salmon Jerky Bites. You can find them anywhere dried out fish is sold. Epic Salmon Jerky Bites. Checkmate your hunger silently.
Hey, Matt, when it comes to these vegan salmon bites, do you think they would play well if your opponent has frustrated parents?
No, I don't think it would go over well, but who knows? Maybe we can just give them a bag and they'll be happy.
So our very first ad read, Matt, you killed it. That was great.
Thank you.
Okay, we got it out of the way. Let's start with the tournament. Again, thank you all for joining. This podcast is brought to you by Chess Goals. If you want to get our emails, you can sign up for our emails, chessgoals.com/newsletter. We have a ton of free courses, all kinds of stuff. Go to chessgoals.com. Um, so, Dane, I don't even know where to start here. Let's go through your tournament in Chicago. So, your rating is a little deflated due to a couple bad tournaments you had. So, what was your rating going into the tournament, and what section were you in the Chicago Open?
Right. So, I played in the under 2100 section. So yeah, first, I guess, my rating did go to like 1990. I've been as high as like 2180 in the past, but for the last year I'd been below 2100. And there was a little bit of a weird situation where I played in the under 2300 last year, and I played someone that was only like 1400 playing up, and I thought, okay, that kind of ruins my average, and like what's the point of, playing in the under 2300 if I'm playing all these people playing up anyway. Might as well at least have a chance at getting some prize money. So decided, well, I'll play in the under 2100 because I've my performance hasn't been as great as normal. Unfortunately, we had a few issues with the chess castle, and I run that, and so that's a whole nother story. I don't know if you heard what happened there, but basically we had to renovate the whole thing, and so very stressful.
Ooh,
Oh,
Definitely not. Yeah,
that's at
not
it's
Southdale.
crazy. Yeah, so basically, the mall had an issue with their plumbing, and the ceiling burst and sewage dumped into the chess club, and we had to tear everything out and re refix everything. It was a mess. So
it's like a bunch
yeah.
of chess players scrambling to figure out how to renovate a building. That sounds
Yeah,
terrible.
luckily it was like no one's there and they were doing like the renovations, but it was still, yeah, it was just horrible.
And
So
this, and
anyway, that
this I was gonna say this is something that makes this cheating story even more intriguing too, because Dane, you're not just a player, like you're not just a random, 2000, 2100 who noticed something. You are a tournament director. You run the chess castle. You know what you're talking about. I'm sure you've seen cheating in the past as well, and so I feel like everything lined up for you to just like be in this position to bust this guy. So take me through the first few rounds. Obviously, you're playing well. You got some quick wins in the first few rounds. Is that right? You went undefeated the first few rounds?
so I had a few quick wins. One was also just like this Nimzo game where, typically the opponent kind of will go for positional stuff, and you get the bishop pair and attack on the king side. So I had a few quick wins there, and that was the good part of the tournament. Unfortunately, um yeah, after the first couple of games, we all got some kind of stomach bug that was going around. Like there was a lot of people coughing and kind of like not feeling so great. So everybody kind of in our group of four friends was starting to get kind of sick. So after the round three, then things just, yeah, started getting a little crazy.
And so you had, was it one round on like a Friday and then two runs on Saturday? Is that the schedule you played?
Yes, yeah. So yeah, we did the 4 day, I believe. Yeah.
Okay, so then on Sunday is when things start heating up. So you're 3-0. Three, it sounds like pretty easy wins. You were just kind of cruise to. And round four, is this when you got paired with the cheater?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I do want to give credit to my one of the toughest games I played was in round two. I played a 1700 that I think was like super underrated, and we had an end game battle, but other than that, it wasn't too bad. So yeah, then round four was unfortunately the cheater where again I kind of was hoping that they weren't, but yeah, sat down, he played a King's Indian kind of hyper modern stuff, and I decided, well, maybe I'll play this system of, where I don't play e4 against the King's Indian. I'm actually just gonna play e3, d4, and c4, and then I'm gonna put my knight on c3 and my kingside knight on e2 and bishop on d3, knight on g3, just kind of like this different system that people wouldn't normally expect. But the bizarre thing was he spent only about 15 minutes just on the entire game. So he was just, besides looking down every once in a while, was playing extremely fast, and played one move in particular where he just hung a pawn, it looked like, just to gain a square. Just very bizarre.
Yeah. And you were
And
and you were suspicious of this guy coming into the game, is that right?
yeah, so just well, not coming into the game so much. I heard a couple of people mention his record that he's um basically this math genius or something, and that he's like very new, and um you know he's basically someone to watch out for. So okay, like I just thought maybe this is just some really good player, and this was like before I looked up all the details. So yeah, I guess I wasn't as suspicious, but when he played that quickly and this b5 move, it really kind of rang alarm bells. I've had one other, I'm not going to mention the name, it was a kid, but one other player cheat against me over the board. And it really kind of reminded me of that. And he was also caught red-handed with the cell phone. So like a lot more people cheat online, but one person also over the board, and it was just really, really unfortunate again, but similar kind of play style, and neither of them took any time. And so, maybe they need some acting lessons or something. They can kind of like, oh, like rub their head and yeah,
Don't
I
give
was
any
wondering,
tips.
do you I was wondering,
yeah,
do you think they play fast just so that they can get in and out of that room? Because if you're one of the last games
yeah.
going, it probably draws some extra attention to those players.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good point. The fact that the game went about 40 moves was something that he after the game I talked to him, and he was kind of annoyed about this, by the way. He said, "Yeah, most of my games have been like 20, 30 moves." And that also
Yeah.
was kind of bizarre. Like he was annoyed that it took that long. Like what an inconvenience. And I thought, man, this kind of I don't know, it just sounds like a jerk. So like how
Every
dare
one
you
of my
take 40
games went
moves to lose?
Yeah, every one of my games went over 40 moves. Every single one we hit time control too. So to be
Yeah,
surprised that a game
pretty
didn't end in
normal.
20 or 30, that seems kind of odd too.
And so
Right, right.
when you were playing the game, were you suspicious like not take like moves and timing aside, were you suspicious just like looking at the guy across from you?
Um, yeah, I guess. Well, as soon as he played the move again, he's just kind of like looking down a lot. So I was definitely suspicious. Like, especially after the move, it kind of made me more alert to what was going on. I wasn't paying that much attention, and and then again, you kind of convince yourself that, um, it's okay. People, are in general good. So I kind of just tried to make as many excuses as possible for him. And like, definitely wanted to talk to him after the game to kind of ease my, suspicion of things, but it actually made it worse, unfortunately. So yeah, again, I would really credit my round six opponent, Anush. I don't think I would have pursued it without him like actually contacting me through Facebook and then, following up with me. We both ended up playing each other. So I think that was mainly what made me like really want to act. But yeah, so I did go over the game and so forth. So um the funny thing was my friends afterwards, I just said, wow, this is one of the worst beatings I've ever gotten, you know, probably in my life. Do you guys want to see this game? And I tried, showing them the game, and none of us could really understand a lot of what he was doing. And I mean, it was kind of like it took a while to break down. Like, okay, we'll analyze the moves on the computer, and oh, okay, like maybe like six moves later, he'll get the square or he'll win the rook. And he had 11 centipon loss, which is like extremely low also. And so it just seems, yeah, it just was a little off.
So he
What
wasn't even playing any like second or third best move. He was mostly just like playing the very best move every move. Is that what you found?
Well, yeah, so what he did, and I have the game up here too. He made the best moves whenever it was a tactical or a critical position.
Yeah.
But then he would do like the second or third best move when it was like, okay, his evaluation had gotten to the point where it's really hard to mess it up. And so I think what he was doing was like, okay, this is a critical position, and he could recognize like when you can just make some innocuous like move and be okay, like if you're up material or something. And once the queens were traded off, he actually started playing a little bit worse, but there was really nothing I could do because I'm down so many pawns at that point.
Did you have a question, Matt?
But
Yeah, I was just wondering at what point, Dane, did you check the Centipon loss?
yeah, so that was like pretty close to, it was like nighttime after the game, so I showed my friends the games and the game, and then they thought it was bizarre. So yeah, it was pretty close, like maybe like 10 p.m. or something. And then I actually didn't sleep because I was really uncomfortable about it, especially the conversation I had with the guy after the game. He mentioned a chessable course that's basically from 800 to like 1200 players. He didn't know what a hole in the position was. which was really weird for
Oh,
someone that plays a hyper modern opening. Uh, so I thought, okay, that's odd. Um, and so yeah, those things just really, and again, just having one chessable course as your entire reference of how you got good that fast. Like, okay, you haven't read any tactics books, just this ch one chessable course.
What was the course? We gotta
Really.
know.
So I think it was the one by Robert Ramirez. I think it's a good course, but it's one I looked at for some of my students, but it's a very beginning, like play the Pierce and the King's Indian and the King's Indian attack, like basically just play that setup against everything. And that's what he was just, talking about is okay, I'm just gonna play, and that's what he would do. He would play the Pierce against everything also, just same setups all the time, which I mean is good if you're just kind of using the same thing to remember and playing it on a phone apparently.
It's weird.
do you think that course covered the E3 knight G E2 bishop D3 setup
No,
against the
I
kid?
know
And do you,
for I actually went through the entire thing. No, I know for a fact
I
it
love that
does
you
not.
looked it up. That's great.
Yeah, yeah, I did that. So, yeah, I,
Good.
I looked it up, went through, yeah, did the whole chessable nonsense. It was funny.
Okay, couple
Okay, so
questions for you. So we'll get into the method of cheating in a little bit. What was his rating? Do you remember?
Um, I think it was about 2020-ish or something. So he's like right around where my rating was at the tournament. Fortunately for me, I'd actually had some decent games in St. Cloud, another tournament in Minnesota before I was able to beat, 2300 there and so forth. So I was kind of more back in good form again. And so yeah, just I didn't think I should just get destroyed, especially like having rested and prepared for the tournament or anything. So yeah, he was, about 2020 rated.
Yeah, another thing that's great about the story is it's all Minnesota people. You gotta love it. Minnesota shout out. We're all in Minnesota. Did he say anything else weird in like the post game that like really made you suspicious? You mentioned you didn't know what a hole in the position was, which like I mean I'm 15-ish under. That's pretty obvious to me. And he didn't, and he referenced one like very weird course that was kind of offbeat that didn't actually include these lines. Anything else that stuck out to you, or is that he did, kind of didn't say much?
Um, didn't say too much besides that, just saying like that he had to, to be able to play the modern, these hyper modern openings, you basically have to study all of this stuff. And I was just curious, and he said, well, you have to remember tons and tons of lines. I don't recommend it for everybody, but if you do, then you just play this well. And I didn't really buy that because I don't know. I've been playing for about 20, actually a little bit over 20 years, and I've realized like, okay, I also have a math degree and also a pretty good memory, and just having a good enough memory doesn't make you play like, supercomputer or GM or something. So, or have like 11 centi pawn loss.
yes.
So, yeah, just memory alone, chess is more of an art than just, math or equations or something,
And if you are looking
kind
for
of
a
combination.
and if you are looking for a opening or a modern course that doesn't complicate you, that isn't 1,000 lines, Chess Goals is working on a modern course, so you can sign up for our emails. We will let you know. We have 6 of our 10 chapters completed, and I think we have the rest of them coming very soon. Sorry, had to get the shameless plug in there for Chess Goals. Um, okay, so you lose round 4, and you have a little break going into round 5. Is that right? Is that how it played out?
Yeah, so yeah, lose round four, have a little bit of a break before going into round five. Unfortunately, that's where like the stomach flu kind of kicked in for me and I started, feeling a little bit ill. So yeah, that was unfortunate. I won't share that so much, the details of that because that's kind of gross. But yeah, so it was kind of not feeling so well and thought, oh, I lost this game. And I got destroyed too because it was just so bad. I thought that, and actually looking at it later, I thought, okay, actually, I hadn't played that bad, but it was just, you get overcritical of yourself and emotional, like, oh man, this is too bad. So luckily I was able to come back, and my opponent played the Jabava London, which was really interesting. And I played this new line where you can check the king with like bishop to b4, and then go back to a5 and defend the c pawn. And it was yeah, it's just a really interesting dynamic game. So I was happy with that. Unfortunately, had to like run back and forth to the bathroom. So the TDs were getting a little suspicious because of the stomach bugs. They had me empty my pockets and everything. Like, no, no, it's not so. And unfortunately, kind of like my whole group and a lot of other people in the tournament were having this issue. So then, yeah, one of the players that came with me actually had to drop out of a round and he kind of deteriorated, which was really unfortunate.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Dang. So then that night, is that when you had to go to the hospital?
Yeah, so the next, yeah, basically in the morning, then yeah, he knocked on my door and I'm not sure again if he would want me to share his name or anything, so I'm not going to, but yeah, I knocked on my door and we went to the hospital around like sometime in the 6 in the morning and was there until like right before um the round where I played Anoush. And so yeah, that was pretty brutal because I was kind of more worried about like making sure he's all right. And my wife also had an appendix removed. And so I actually suspected based on the way he was hunched over and kind of like the symptoms that it was similar because yeah, it was just exactly like the vomiting, bent over in pain like that. So we didn't really wait around. We just went to the hospital right away, but it took them a long time like doing tests to be thorough. So the hospital did a really good job, but I left where he was just kind of resting. So
Yeah, that's scary symptoms for when you have the flu because you could like very easily just like chalk it up to the stomach bug rather than like a serious medical emergency. So, okay. So, let's recap again. So, we're done with day 3. So, you've played 5 games and you've won 2, no, won 3, lost 2. So, you lost both games on Saturday. You go into Sunday and you get paired with Anoush.
yep.
Okay, so
Yeah,
the
so
okay, go for it.
or let's see. Yeah, so see, so then Sunday, yeah, I get paired with Anush. Actually, so Anush was on Monday, actually. I'm sorry, he was the last day, so he was the second to last person
Oh, okay.
that I played. So Sunday, and actually Monday, so Sunday was the day that we were all kind of sick, and Sunday was the day that I also played the cheater. That was in the morning. So Sunday was the cheater. Then that night, I had the Jabava London game, and then so was Monday um
And you
was
won
like
Sunday night, right? You did
I
win
won
that game.
Sunday night. Even though I was like running back and forth and sick and whatnot, I was able to pull it off. So that was lucky. And then I felt much better. And unfortunately, yeah, my friend then like Sunday night started feeling really awful. And like Monday morning, yeah, I went to the hospital. So then round six was Anoush and we kind of had a chat at the board. I didn't really see his Facebook message, but I was really suspicious. So we were able to kind of, without even really like naming exactly what happened, we were able to like communicate, which was kind of funny. And so then
Wait, what do you
we
mean by
both were
that?
just
When you're playing over the board, you're able to just like make eye contact and like, hey, something's not right over there.
no. Well, yeah, so I knew he had also played the same cheater and yeah, he kind of gave like a look and mentioned like, hey, I contacted so I at first I got really worried about my friend who was in the hospital. He said, hey, did you get my message? And it was like sounded like something fairly serious. And I said, oh no, is it about like my friend that's in the hospital? And he was like, what are you talking
He's
about?
like,
So
no, it's worse.
no, it's worth yeah, and then so then kind of just okay, like kind of hinted at it and I said, "Oh, okay, that guy. Yes, my game was also like that and so forth." And then we just agreed to basically both go talk to the tournament directors and hopefully resolve it. Also take turns kind of just like watching this guy's game, so hopefully he couldn't cheat during the last 2 rounds because if he couldn't do that, then he's probably not getting prize money.
Yep.
And if you have two other players watching you, like taking turns watching, I don't know how you're ever going to get away with. I'm surprised he got away with it to begin with, just in the normal atmosphere. But if you have eyes on you forget it. Like, how are you going to get away with it?
Well, that was the thing was then since we started watching him, he actually like dropped a piece and started playing pretty poorly because I think he was like nervous to, pull it out and look at the phone. So that's the kind of hilarious thing. He went from like 11 centipon loss, perfect game to like, oops, there goes a piece.
Did
Wow.
And
he
Okay.
lose
so
round six, or how did he do in that game?
so then he started losing and then he had to pull out the phone and that's where he got busted
What do you
because he
mean
wanted
he?
to save himself.
Oh. So he pulled out the phone. So okay, I see what you mean. So he started losing in the game, and then he had to pull out his phone to cheat to try to win again.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
exactly. Because yeah, he was like he probably would have been able to glance when like Anush and I were walking back and forth, and we were really I felt like kind of got the runaround with the TDs of Go. Normally, we are all in one big room in the Chicago Open, and unfortunately, there was a bar mitzvah, I believe, that had occupied the big room. So the chess control table, as they call it, was all the way around by the normal big room, so big long walk. And then I'd go over there, talk to them about my game, and say like, can we have like a computer review of this? This is like super suspicious. My opponent also thinks the same thing. And then, okay, they told me to talk to those people at Chess Control, but then they send me back and they say, talk to the main TD in the under 2100 section. And he tried to send me back there. I said, no, no, you have to like at least give me an answer. And so I spent basically over a half hour between arguing with the tournament directors and trying to like watch this guy. So kind of almost both Anush and I was it was not the best game by either of us because we were both so distracted and also I had to hang with my friend so I was pretty tired.
okay. So this guy just pulls out a phone and starts looking at moves. Like he just takes the phone out of his pocket. Is that what he's doing?
Yeah, so I didn't see that's when my time started to get pretty low, so I started to get going back to my game. But I didn't see if he had like the chess.com app or if he had some other um material, but I did see where he was being escorted out and I believe like Andush and some other folks saw that he had a phone. It looked like he had something else like potentially attached to it as well. So it sounded like he had some way of strapping it under the table, which, you know, I mean, I guess that's the way to cheat. You don't have to go to the bathroom ever. You can just hide it underneath the tablecloth. So I'm all for like no more tablecloths going forward.
Okay, so this is kind of what we expect happened. He somehow had a clamp and, maybe it had one of those flexible arms, right?
Yep,
Attached to his phone. And these tablecloths, I mean, they do drop down pretty far at the Chicago Open,
right.
like over a foot. So somehow he's able to just slightly pull back the cloth, barely see the phone. So if you were walking by, you might not notice. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Like I think probably between like he could hide it between his legs and then also just
Right.
basically pull the tablecloth up to his knees and just do it from that way. And that would honestly be a lot easier than trying to sneak a phone into the bathroom when the tournament directors did say they wanted him and everything. But if you just have it right at the table, yeah, you're not getting like busted there. But since we'd really increased like, you know, the suspicion around it, and we were like looking for it. But if you're not looking for it, yeah, you can just easily get away.
I
Especially
suppose.
when he's not like the last round. So it was really important that he's not like the last game going.
Yeah.
Right, because more people around him actually sort of protect him from eyeballs, probably, right? So as long as the people on his left and right aren't paying attention, he's got it between his legs, he's got the tablecloth, his own body. Like really, it's blocked from all four angles except looking straight down. So then the only
Yeah,
suspicious thing is just his eyes glancing down a lot.
right. And the other thing was then once because he did so well, it was kind of funny because he did so well. He got separated out and put at his own table as the tournament, people drop out and whatnot. So and I had that fortunately kind of towards the end of the tournament for the last game as well, where it was, a lot more comfortable. So then it made it so we could see him from the side where normally there's people blocking. So yeah.
So how do you think he was inputting the positions into his phone? Do you know?
Yeah, I have no idea actually. So I mean, I could speculate, but yeah, I have no idea how he would do it. I would assume if he's playing like these same system openings, he could have like a study and then just, add a line. Like for example, I'm tournament director, also chess teacher. So with a lot of my students, I'll have like opening studies and I'll have them insert games into like a specific like line of say like a lead chess study or something. Actually, like yeah, a good course by the way, besides Chessable too is Matt Jensen's Caroling course. I know I have a student that got that one, so check that
Nice,
out.
nice. Yeah,
Awesome.
I was thinking he must enter every single move because even if he has a lead chess study of his openings, like take the Ramirez course, he could have put that all into lead chess studies. But as soon as you deviate out of book, he's got to start entering every single move, right? So by move eight or
Yeah.
so, he's probably either every move he's doing it, or say he waits 2, 3 moves and then he probably has to input the last two or three. Like I don't think he's doing position setups. That would take too much time.
Yeah, I think it probably would just be faster to enter them in. And I mean, he had plenty of time during my game since I spent my entire clock time trying to just get out of this mess. And so I think that's in general what's happening is he's moving very quickly because and he can catch up entering in the moves because you can see the line. So if you have your like I've checked this on my phone with like Lee Chess or chess.com, you can have the line where it'll show several moves. So he could probably play 3 moves and then catch up while the opponent's sitting there and
Good
thinking,
point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep. Wow. Okay, another question I have for you, Dane. When you were talking to the TDs, and maybe you can let us know, number one, what are your TD credentials? Because you have a lot of TD credentials. And two, did you kind of let them know those credentials as well so that they realize like you even had experience playing against a cheater OTB?
Well, yeah, I guess I don't know, maybe it's like the Minnesota like you don't want to like humble brag or whatever, but I did let them know I was a tournament director, and that I've directed FIDE level events, so I left it at that. But and also that I've caught one other person cheating in a similar way. So yeah, that was basically what I let them know. Also that I've played close to like now I think almost 1,000 rated tournaments, which not everybody can claim.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, my TD credentials are for FIDE, I'm a national arbiter, so I can run any size FIDE event. Just can't do norm events. So like, I can kind of like the Chicago Open, the top section there. But for USCF, so now I'm an associate national TD, so I can run an event of any size. It could be like 2,000 people or something. So I'm one level away from national TD, which is the highest level you can get. And so I've taken all the tests, kind of just passed them on the first try. And so I've been really happy with that. And I've never had a successful USCF complaint against me. I always try and like listen and hear the people out. I do understand there's people that have cried wolf with cheating. So that's one thing as a tournament director. I
Yeah.
really don't think that the tournament director should have to deal with all of the cheating allegations. I think tournaments of $10,000 or more, there should be like a fair play director that's just their job. And tournament directors that are doing a bunch of other stuff. Um, I've had 100 200 person tournament where some people have accused someone that I've had to try and find, hey, like this guy's a master, he's going to check the game on the computer, and if it looks suspicious I'll come back and so forth. But this one, what I mentioned to the tournament directors was the guy's record. So if we I don't know, I should almost have a picture of his rating graph. It's a right angle. It's just basically like, okay, so he never has gone down, and he's just all of a sudden gone from being a beginner to an expert rated player in less than a year. So last year he played in the under 1400 or under I think it was under 1500 in Chicago and won that. So and the tournament director mentioned that he knew that and that a lot of people have accused this individual of cheating. And so I said, well, then if so many people have accused him of cheating before, shouldn't we look into this and like look at the games? And unfortunately, the tournament director said, "Well, you said you've already looked at the games with the engine, so I don't have to."
Hmm.
So I
I
was
mean,
really unfriendly.
well, I mean, you looked at him and determined it was very likely cheating.
Yeah.
It's
That's a bizarre statement.
it's
Uh,
interesting to me, Dane, you're a higher level TD than most of these people you're talking to, right? Like the people
Right.
in the rooms aren't necessarily even national
No
level
associate.
TDs.
Yeah, national, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
listing
that's
off all
true.
you're listing off all your credentials. Like, yeah, it's like I almost made national master. I busted another guy for cheating. I'm a FIDE arbiter, Ardley's arbiter. I'm like, this guy cheated against the wrong person, like the very
Yes.
wrong. What a bad break there on who to cheat.
Um, I like your idea of having the fair play representative though, because they have so many directors walking
Yeah.
around in the yellow shirts. You would think they could hire one person. And like you mentioned earlier, though, I think when they do have the big ballroom, it's a little easier on them. Everyone's in
Yeah.
one room, so they can easily like walk the aisles. But with this, we'd only have one or two TDs usually in our room, I believe. So they have a lot of other things they're doing, like checking clocks and things like that, salmon jerky issues. Like they don't necessarily have the time to look in everyone's lap and see like, hey, is anyone doing anything suspicious?
Right. I guess my point to that was like, so yeah, that is another complication. My point to that was like, well, yeah, maybe the first few rounds, but you don't have to look in everybody's lap, but maybe let's look at the people who have a perfect record of 5-0.
Yeah,
And especially if like multiple, like you have two or three of the guy's opponents that are all saying this is very odd. So like then yeah, probably look at that one guy.
yeah, that's a good idea. And
Yeah.
can you tell us, I know because I was there, but the viewers may not know, what are the rules for the Chicago Open with regards to cell phones? Because not everyone's played in a big
Oh,
CCA event.
yeah, so basically you just can't have them on your person at all. If you forget and you have like a cell phone that's turned off in your pocket or something, and you walk up to the bathroom, there was actually a guy I saw this happen to. The director will like take half your time. I think it's something like that. They give him a time penalty.
Wow.
And there was another guy, he was actually completely unaware, and I kind of feel bad for him. The tournament director saw him coming out of the bathroom and he said, do you have a cell phone? The guy's like, yeah, I have a cell phone. And so I guess he must not have come for like opening announcements. So if you're new, definitely go to the tournament opening announcements so that you don't like lose your game like this guy. But basically they said, okay, well, what board are you on? And he just told them like he didn't seem like he actually cheated or anything. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm on this board. Um, this is your cell phone, yeah. Okay, well, you're losing your game. Come with us. So
I
kind
mean,
of,
they tell
yeah,
you
kind of
before
harsh.
every single round about the cell
Yeah,
phones. Either you got to put it in your bag and turn it off completely. They say don't put it in airplane mode because you're not on an airplane. That was the guy's running joke. Every
yeah,
single round, they tell you the same thing. You cannot have a cell phone on
yeah.
your body. You can put it on the table if it's completely off or in your bag. Otherwise, it should be in your hotel room. There's no other option.
Right, right. And like maybe I feel bad for like a new player in like, the first round, maybe if they miss it or something, but someone like this guy also has played unfortunately in other high prize tournaments, and he should definitely know that. And like you said, they did the announcements. So at that point when he was caught with the phone, there was really no excuse for him having it on his person, let alone, yeah, looking at it. So say like I guess he also said that he was using it to text or something. And then also besides that, like I was using it to text, and then the really horrible part is the game against him was rated. So it was rated in the wrong order too. So there was just a really
Oh,
bizarre argument. Um so the guy claimed he only cheated in that one round. Just round six where we caught him. But in all the other rounds he didn't cheat because like, why would you just cheat in one round? Like, it sounds silly. So the rest of us, all the way through round five that played this guy in the under 2100 section, all lost rating, and they rated it after the tournament. So I have the perfect 6 out of 6 score, and so that was rated, and I was given a half point buy for that. But then unfortunately I lost 12 points because they rated it as if like maybe I have a DeLorean in my garage or something, but basically somehow I played this game on Sunday, but I won the Chicago Open tournament on Monday, but then somehow the Sunday
Oh,
game got rated, as after Monday tournament ended. So I lost even more points because of that.
So did
um,
did you not get the rating bonus for the perfection then?
No, exactly. I also lost that. So you have an extra K factor and boost. So for like people that don't know how the USDF rating algorithm works, if you get a perfect score, then you will have a K factor. It's basically something that can boost your rating an extra, sometimes 10, 20 points. Younger players also have this. So you might see a younger player go up 100 points where like someone, that's an adult wouldn't. So yeah, being, now I'm 34, I'm like an old man when it comes to, chess. It'd be nice to get that perfect score K factor, but
so
no.
what happens next, Dane? Is there going to be any follow-up with this guy? Is he banned from events? Are you going to file any sort of complaint or talk to higher ups at USCF? What happens next?
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel kind of obligated to do something about it. So that's one reason that I was happy that you guys invited me to join this podcast because at least I can kind of like air out a little bit of what happened and my grievances. I definitely what I am really sad about is everybody losing points for basically a year. It was very likely this guy's been just cheating in every event for a year. He never lost ratings, so forth. I think he's probably at most 1400 strength. And so, yeah, I basically want the rules to be changed. The USDF rule book is less than 200 pages and it's deliberately vague. So the way it's written, when you look at penalties, it's given like the TD is given a lot of discretion to be able to decide um, how penalties are handed out. And the maximum for cheating in a first offense, I talked to the chief tournament director of the entire event on Monday, and he mentioned that my game's rated, and I was just shocked. Um, he mentioned that, okay, well, the maximum penalty is 2 years. So that's all we can give him as far as being banned for, like 2 years. So it sounds pretty good for someone, especially if you don't really care about chess. You can steal, in my case, I was able to win $6,000. Also had a really good mixed doubles partner. So that was great. So you can steal thousands of dollars and there's no criminal consequence. Like if you go to rob a gas station for, $100, you're gonna, go to jail. So there's no consequences other than being banned from chess. And if you don't like chess anyway, just 2 years and you can come back and do whatever. So yeah, it's really sad. Um I think that for sure we shouldn't be cost rating. Like all the people that played him need to get their points refunded. And so
Oh,
I like
100%.
that. And yeah, I'd really like also just some procedure for dealing with the cheaters. So ideally, like one thing, what I said was just having the fair play guy where that's his job the entire time. And if the tournament goes well, he just sits there and reads the book and maybe pay him a couple $100 for sitting there. But then if he deals with complaints, the pay could increase or something. I don't know, something like that. But big tournaments like this, a couple $100 to basically have integrity of the tournament and the results preserved, I don't think that's a very high price to pay.
No, and I think what they should do is they should just walk the aisles just back and forth. Because if you look at enough people, just like a security person, you're going to start to detect, like, okay, what looks suspicious? Are there certain players that are kind of like looking at that fair play expert, doing certain things depending on what if they're looking or not? I don't know. I agree with you. I think that's a great idea, Dane. And
Yeah, I think that it's hard though. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna also defend the tees a little bit because I've done tournaments that are like a whole weekend long and I've done the like walk the aisles the whole time. And by the end your knees hurt, you just feel physically awful. So, I don't think that we can expect them to catch everybody. I think it just has to be like there has to be someone designated to do that because the TDs are also like helping people with potential disputes, and if they do that, they can't, do the fair play stuff. But yeah, go ahead with what you were gonna say there. Sorry.
no, that's true. Yeah, I agree with you. Um, I don't know what the best solution is then, Dane, because we're talking about a style of cheating that's not even as sophisticated as some of the other
Yeah.
complaints like Hans Niemann, right? I don't know how they would detect some of those crazy theories that were out there if they can't detect someone with a cell phone in their lap.
Yeah, it was pretty rudimentary. So yeah, I mean, I think again, the way to do it would just be like, especially, I mean, it would really get rid of one of the tournament directors mentioned the main reason that they didn't believe me or they didn't want to, waste time on it basically was that they get so many people saying my opponent's cheating and with the whole Hans thing, it's kind of like yeah, he cheated online, and I think that hurt his reputation. But over the board, there wasn't actually any proof, and so then even the best player in the world potentially was just frustrated with his results and turned to blaming his opponent. So I can see why the tournament directors after a while they get sick of people like whining like, okay, my opponent ate beef jerky and now I'm I'm angry at them. They should be banned, like something like that. Like, yeah, that kind of stuff. That's really annoying. So being a tournament director, I've heard some goofy stuff. Yeah, there's like Tim Just wrote a book where it was like one of the complaints is my opponent has a powdered donut and like was blowing the sugar or something like that.
That seems more legit than salmon jerky. Okay, a couple questions for you have come in. So, regarding the tournament director not caring about your report, if few players complain, what incentive did tournament directors actually have to catch cheaters? It just seems like extra effort and potential, like a false positive, and you accuse someone who's clean.
Yeah, it's really that's one thing I'm extremely careful about too is like, well, uh as a tournament director, again, if you don't have someone, if it's a small tournament, you can kind of check up on things. But yeah, if you accuse someone and they're not guilty, then potentially, yeah, you could get sued or something like that, maybe. So it's definitely kind of scary. But I also think what one of the tournament directors said to me again too, well, the chief that runs everything said, well, now I have to file this ethics complaint and it's more paperwork for me. So they seem really annoyed, almost annoyed that we caught the guy because now it's like, oh, more work for us. Oh, so, so yeah, there's not really any incentive like for the tournament directors to catch the guy. And so that's why I think we need someone where it's like, this is your job, and your job is to verify the innocence, ideally, of players. And if there's any, okay, you fill out this report. So first the person's serious, not just I'm a little ticked off after my game and I'm gonna blame this guy for cheating. Like you fill out a report and as you're writing it you put your game in and you describe the reasons like I could say with my opponent his USCF record is extremely suspicious. There's also the game, there's also all of his opponents games and especially like the Anush game, and so him and I together you have more than one person that didn't know each other before the tournament that are complaining, then it's like, okay, well, we should probably take that a little more seriously. And if you have one guy that where that's their job and they're not distracted by a lot of stuff, I think, that's what I want to see. And I guess, there might be a USCF complaint. I basically want the rules changed. And so I'm going to pursue that however it needs to happen.
Thanks for doing that because honestly, with all of these cheating complaints at the top level, a lot of things trickle down from top level to everyday players. We might be seeing more and more of this, not just cheaters, but people suspecting others of cheating. Um, and as people get away with cheating online, it might start to come more to OTB play. Like Dane, you and I have been playing for a long time, and I feel like back in the day, just no one ever cheated. Cheating would be talking to
Yeah,
your grandmaster friend in the hallway and they told you a move or, hey, watch for a threat. Like that was cheating. Whereas now everyone's cheating online, it seems like, or accusing someone of cheating online. Could it just end
right.
up trickling over the board?
Yeah, I think that's really a good point about the evolution of cheating. Basically, we started, yeah, like you said, it wasn't really an issue. Maybe someone could, have some notes or something that they'd put in their pocket. Maybe they'd glance at like an opening book, but they couldn't actually get advice like in the critical part of the game. So yeah, there
Yeah.
was really no incentive or point. But now since cell phones, they're getting smaller and they're basically they're as good as our computers when Matt and I were kids. Like, it's just the handheld cell phone's better. Works, you don't have dial up or anything crazy like that. And so yeah, I think that now you have to look at what we did to change or what like the CCA has done to like change or to adapt to cheating. And basically, besides like making sure people don't bring cell phones to the bathroom, they really haven't changed anything from like say 2005. 2005, I kind of use that as a bookmark in my brain because that's about the time that they started requiring people to use digital clocks. Before that, it was always hearing ticking. And so, yeah, there was really no cheating or anything then. And so, the whole bathroom cheating thing, I think that is, like I said, 2010s. Now we have to figure out what to do. And I think they're just as it becomes more and more of a problem, you can't expect the TD to be able to resolve that and do their job well. It's got to be someone else.
Did you try to contact any of the other opponents besides Anush um, to see what those games looked like, or can Chicago Open TDs pull those games and run them?
Right. So yeah, in a FIDE rated section, all of the games are collected. And so my games and all of the other opponents' games. So what I did was I asked the TDs to just review the other games. I said, don't take our word for it. Just you could look at our games, but also look at the other games as well. And unfortunately, I mean, I get it. There's the tournament going on, so they might have been too busy and they didn't take it too seriously. So they did refuse to do that. Um, I am reaching out to like the other opponents, but Anush was the one that I mainly talked to and having just him so that I knew okay, I'm not just crazy or something. Like then it was enough for me. Both of those
Yeah.
games together, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if there's one takeaway, if you are a tournament director and you are out there running these big tournaments, I think Dane has made a beautiful case for having a fair play director. Just someone who sits around, he watches the game. If there's a paperwork that needs to be filed, it's his job. Tournament director, you get to focus on the vegan salmon thing. You get to focus on like
Yeah.
real chessboard over the stuff. Don't worry about the cheating. Pass that to someone else and have it all taken care of. Yeah, I think a lot of people in the chat have said that that's been a really good idea too. Okay, let me flip the scenario around on you then. So, like, let's say you're directing a tournament. Someone comes up to you and says, "Hey, I think my opponent is cheating," and it seems like it has a little bit of legs to it. So, what are you supposed to do as a tournament director?
Well, Um, first, I would say, ask for a copy of the game. I would also like make sure the, player is really serious too and say like emphasize how serious of a claim this is. Like by accusing this player of cheating, you could hurt their reputation, everything. You really want to do this. And so that would be the idea of like an actual form the person would fill out because then it would make someone, more serious. So what I would do then is I would have them enter the game into like Lee Chess or something so they're actually involved in like the process a little bit like okay here's my game and then we go through that and if I could point out obvious blunders or something then I would just explain to the players you see this like here you could have won this way and most of the time that's been good enough when I've actually most of the cases are unfortunately people just thinking someone's cheating and so then they feel better, they walk away, it's fine. But if it actually looks like a couple of the cases that I found, most of them were online where people were actually cheating, and the one was over the board, where yeah, okay, it's had teeth to it. Then what you have to do is say, well, okay, I can't disprove he's cheating, so now I've got to collect the games of like the opponents, like the other games he played. And especially like if you look at his rating and the rating is like below 2000 and he's playing extremely well, then I would basically get a second opinion. Tournament directors are supposed to form a committee whenever like one person, it's just like one guy is involved that happens to be tournament directing he can sometimes just say with his ego like okay like no I know this person's not cheating or something. So I would form a committee and I would kind of ask a bunch of other like expert master players what they thought about the game. And I try and run it through like Chess or chess.com to see if they flag it. And if they did at that point, then yeah, would probably approach the person. Unfortunately, the case of where that happened wasn't able to catch it in time for the tournament. The individual did have to return the prize money, but we did like make sure to file a report and everything. So it's really hard to catch them. That's the point, is like the tournament director, I don't think is capable of catching the person during the event. So if Anush and I hadn't harassed the tournament director so much, I don't think it would have happened during the event, like maybe afterwards. And then like all of the money he's gained, unfortunately, I don't think he's gonna have to pay that back. And
Yeah.
yeah, and what the tournament director said was with the rating points too, we're not gonna reverse it because we're not 100% certain they cheated in all of those other games. But
Ugh.
I think if someone's a proven cheater, it should be like, okay, well, we're not, like a kind of like a civil thing where like, okay, if it's 50% likely and that he's already a confirmed cheater, we should probably err on the side that these games are not legitimate. Even if there's, yeah, I mean, if there's good evidence that the games aren't legitimate, like why should we rate them? I'm not asking for like points from the guy, just annul the results. And that's what we did actually when I caught some folks before, is we just annulled the results. And so no one lost rating or gained rating.
That's like the most obvious thing to do. If someone gets caught cheating in a tournament, how could you trust the integrity of any of those games? That makes no sense at all to me.
No.
Yeah. And how do you I feel like they have to pick a side. How do you negate all those games for the standings, but then say, "Oh, we're confident enough to do that, but we're gonna still rate those games." You got to pick one or the other.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point, because that was what I thought too. Like, they didn't say they were going to rate my game until Monday, when they just told me, "Oh, it's already been done." As I was checking out from the hotel, and I thought, "What? You guys told me I was getting a half point like buy for that game. Like, why are you?" Yeah, exactly. So either he's not cheating, or there's not enough evidence, so we're not going to kick him out of the tournament. Or if you kick the guy out of the tournament, yeah, never rate the games. That's ridiculous.
So you gave him a
Yeah.
half. You got a half point loss in that round.
Yeah, and that was the other unfortunate thing was, I get why they would do that though, because depending on what point it was, like if it was way earlier in the tournament, maybe then you could argue, well, you kind of had the Swiss Gambit, you lost the first round and then you only get a half point. But it did put a lot of pressure on me in the last round of like, well, if I really want first place, I've got to crush the guy, I've got to win. And so um luckily on the way back driving from the hospital and all of the craziness, I drank some Red Bull and it was fine.
Good old Red Bull to calm the nerves. Uh,
Yeah. I'm not sponsored by them. It's just, yeah.
You
okay, we
should be
can't shout
now.
out. We can't shout out Red Bull, Liquid Death, Element, any of these things until they sponsor the podcast. I've
Yeah.
actually, I've actually never had a Red Bull in my life. Okay, question for you: if the half point buy would have actually cost you first place, would you have caused a bigger fuss?
Yes, and I mean, I already, before playing the game, yeah, I'll be honest, I was already mentioning that to the tournament directors of like, hey, um, this is really, it really feels unfair because I'd already won, the first three games in a row, and I don't think I played any weak opponents after, even after losing that game. I was playing, actually, right after losing that game, I played the lady who got second place. So it's not like, oh, now you're playing some weak player. So
Yeah,
so no,
right.
no. So it just, yeah, it felt really unfair. But I could kind of understand that, so I wasn't gonna get like super upset about it. It was just going to be really like a sad situation, kind of depressing. Like, but what I really take issue with is just the rating of the games. That's just there's just I don't understand the logic of that at all.
Yeah,
And
well,
as a TD, one of the most annoying things to me is rating extra games. So they
Right.
created a section, recreated all I mean, they did so much work to rate the games. It wasn't like that was the path of least resistance. They went out of their way
Uh,
to get all those games rated. That seems odd.
yeah. Yeah, it is. And And just having the principle, like again, the chief DD just having the principle, it must be 100% certain that the guy cheated. I think that that needs to change. And I don't think, again, I brought it up to him that, well, you have discretion. The USCF rulebook doesn't say you have to be 100% certain when it comes to like rating the games, but I think that's just his stance on it. And he seems like kind of a former military or army guy, and I think maybe he's just kind of very strict and I think, that's fair, but maybe we have too much leeway in the rules for the tournament directors right now. I think that when it comes to the integrity of the game, let's add maybe an extra 10, 20 pages into the rule book. We can make it 220 pages instead of like 190 or something.
That's a great idea. Yeah, a fair play section. I think it's needed.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
and,
love.
and it's not really changed much. Again, we have to look at the evolution of everything, and we haven't really changed the rule book in years. All that was added was a little bit about online chess, but nothing was added to address cell phones or cheating really, which is just shocking. So like 2005 USCF rule book to now, same.
I mean, they should be talking about cell phones, smartwatches, earpieces, like any sort of technology. Last year, Dane, I asked one of the TDs, I said, are you allowed to wear like a Garmin watch to the board? And her response was, you can wear a watch that's digital if it doesn't connect to your phone. And I said, like, well,
Oh,
what about a Fitbit? And she goes, if it's a Fitbit that you can plug in later, but doesn't connect Bluetooth or wirelessly to a phone, then it's fine. So it seems like it was kind of I don't know if that was a great answer to me because I'm like, I don't know if your watch is going to connect to your phone or not, but you can get away with wearing
yeah,
some watches that are digital.
right. Yeah, my answer has been typically, um, you can wear an analog watch. Anything that's digital, I'm not going to go around and check everybody's wrists or anything, but anything that's digital, if your opponent asks to inspect, like just like the clock, I've unfortunately had a case where someone was cheating by, you can't always see the delay counter, but they made their opponent's delay a few seconds less than theirs.
Oh, yeah, it's not
So,
good. It's
yeah,
hard to
that's
catch. Yeah, that's
it's
really
really
hard to
sneaky.
catch.
So like, okay, when it comes to the device, like the watch or the clock or whatever, if the opponent's suspicious or they notice something's odd and they ask me to inspect the device, then I'm gonna have to do that. And so when someone asks me about that, I say, well, unless you have an analog watch, um, I may have to inspect the device, and if there's suspicion, it'll help incriminate you. So definitely don't incriminate yourself. Try and, have anything that connects to the internet like turned off and not on your person. But yeah, we really haven't addressed it, and I think it's just going to get worse because unfortunately, most of the people that I've caught they're all in the scholastic tournaments, and those people are now becoming adults. So like the folks like us that still remember the analog clocks, we're going to be the minority soon.
Yeah, I'm afraid that because there's so much cheating online that maybe kids aren't appreciating how big of a deal it is to cheat. And like, do
Right.
you ban a 10-year-old who cheats in a USCF tournament? Uh, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's not the
Yeah.
same as a 30-year-old math professor or something cheating.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
Hypothetically.
when it comes to that kind of thing, I think it's partly like maybe observing if they're remorseful, ideally they write some kind of letter of apology or something. But like 1 year for a kid, if it's their first offense, does seem um, reasonable. But um, just stressing how serious it is. Yeah, people get banned for cheating all the time. And actually, my friend who doesn't really play chess, just decided to cheat on chess.com. He said, well, I wanted to see if I could get to 2,500 because he said that was a grandmaster and he just played regular chess. And he said, I didn't think it was a big deal because it's just fake, rating anyway. It's not like, a chess professional like you. And I was saying, no, this is like people still care about their online rating. I was really mad at him. Like, like,
Yeah.
why did you do this? But yeah, he just said, well, who cares? It's online rating. And so if that's where everybody starts, now there's so many players coming. You have Queen's Gambit, you have all these Hans Niemann scandal. all these things that are drawing people to chess, and they're coming in from online. So if they have that mentality, yeah, could
I
be
have to
bad.
ask. I have to ask, how far did he make it before he got caught?
Oh, how far did he make it?
Yeah,
His rating or
yeah.
so I think now he's close to 2100, but he was over 2000. So he made it a whole year, like winning tournaments and gaining rank with before he got caught.
Oh no, I meant your friend who's playing online and trying to get to 2500.
Okay, yeah, not the oh, my friend, yeah, he got all the way up to, I think it was like 2450.
Oh,
So
so
he got like
close.
really close. And yeah, it's so close. And it was like he did most of it in one day. So it was chess.com too. It took like a little while for them to catch him, but yeah, he was really close and then his account was closed. But
That's cute.
yeah, as yeah, too bad.
I
Too
have
bad he
some.
cheated.
Yeah,
serves him right.
I have some stories for another podcast about being cheated against on chess.com. But Dane, thank you so much for joining us today. I feel like you were just the perfect person to be in this situation. Yeah, you listed all your accolades. Very strong player. I don't even know if we mentioned it, but Dane did win his section in the Chicago tournament. A clear first, undefeated if you don't count, the half point loss to the cheater. Won every other game, so very impressive showing. I want to thank you for coming on the podcast. I want to thank you for your service to the chess community by not just like taking the easy way out and saying, "Well, who cares? It's just a game." Um, Thank you for pushing for some rule changes in the chess doc or in the chess.com, the USCF rulebook. We are grateful for you. Thank you for joining the podcast. I think I said, and we
Right.
will have you back anytime you want. Dane did say that he was going to send us the game, so we'll get that in the description as
Yeah.
soon as we get that over, probably sometime tomorrow. And I would like to make a follow-up video at some point, just going through the game with him and just showing the audience what like a pure cheat game looks like over the board.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds great. And then comparing that game to the game like Anush and I played, which unfortunately was very human. Like something like that. Like when we're both, stressed out with all this stuff going on. It was just amazing. We were laughing afterwards about just like, wow, like we missed all of this stuff. So yeah, thanks for having me on. It was a good time. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you, Dane.
Yeah, that is going to do it for episode 21. Thank you all for joining. I hope you guys enjoyed it as much as I do. I was sitting on the edge of my seat this whole story, trying to get the details. So, thank you all for joining, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.